Hello everyone and welcome back to another round of the Virtual Drift Championship. This is our final round of Season 9, Round 6 here at Kalinago Circuit, a fantasy track created by 00, a fantastically made track you can find over on Overtake. And my name is Craig. With me as always is Tanner. We'll talk you through today's main event. Tanner, what's up?
What's happening, Craig? Great to be back. Sorry I couldn't join you for the exhibition round, but it looked and sounded absolutely amazing. But now we're back for the finals. I think the latest we've ever gone into the year, but I'm not mad at it. It means we get to see more drifting on top of all the other drifting.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a fantastic course we have today for our last and final round here, Season 9. The expedition was a lot of fun as well. I'm sorry you missed out on it too, but man, what a fun event. Giving those drivers just an hour of practice, there was a little bit of uncertainty heading into each and every one of those battles, starting that event out and sort of all the way through it as well. So maybe something we'll look into for the future. But again, to wrap things up for the season, let's take a look at a little practice run we saw earlier from Zach Sullivan here on a replay that I caught, getting our replay buffer ready, and a little course preview. Zach taking us through, filling that outside zone number 1, and Daryl Diaz following him through. Look at there, filling outside zone number 3 into 4, up into 5 now, and it is full throttle, full commitment all the way through this course to the last and final turn. We get just a little bit of a decel heading into it and across that finish line. Let's see if we have our first group ready. It looks like Daniel Andreev is going to start things off for us today, as we see those drivers getting their last little bit of practice runs in. What do you think about the course, Tanner?
I think it's fantastic. I think it flows well, and it just has that right air of you can't hide between anything. And then, you know, good old Wall right at the end. Our good old friend Barry R. You know, he's there. He's ready to make sure that these guys are on top of their game tonight. And we have a championship fight going on. Today's going to be wicked.
Yeah, absolutely. The standings are close. We'll bring those up here in a minute, but we've got Daniel Andreev at the line, ready to go, ready to kick qualifying off here in group number 1, round number 6, Kalinago Circuit. Brand new track, brand new layout. Here we go. Daniel through the chicane and down the run-up, initiating in full throttle on this initiation, no decel zone, and he fills that zone all the way through. Zone number 3 as well, up into 4 now. Locked into his line here, filling 5. Good transition across. This isn't the first time Daniel has started qualifying off with a banger. There he goes along that track edge and across that finish line. Wow.
Setting the precedent for the day, and setting it he is, watching these scores come in. Wow, Daniel coming out of the gate in group number 1 with a 95.3 on the board. That is absolutely insane. That's only run 1. He's still got another to go. Next up at the line, Martina Sostreka. Well, ready to get their first qualifying run in. Let's see what happens. Initiates in on throttle all the way through that first outer zone, makes the transition over to outer zone 2, maybe a little too deep, but making up for it in outer zone 3. Now around the corner to outer zone 4, Martinez looking good here in the top end of the course into that wall ride section. A little correction, but playing it safe and looking good doing it. Martinez Ostrega.
Yeah, nicely done as well from Martinez. And another strong score on the board here in group number 1, 92.2. So we've got a lot of drivers doing double duty today, qualifying here and working through that main event if they do end up qualifying, and then also qualifying in VDM. Here is Linus returning in as A80 Supra and looking good here through turn number 1 and turn number 2, filling outside zone number 3 into 4, up into 5, now filling that as well. These drivers are locked into the course here. Last and final transition, staying off the rumble, working it right on up to the wall and crossing the finish line.
I know the skill level of these drivers, but it's still, when you see them lay down run after run like that, you still can't help but have a little bit of a smile on your face. Linus there with a 92.7, and now at the line, Reese Tatterson in that Team Heinze RTR Mustang, ready for run number 1 of qualifying. Initiates in, not as deep as he could be off the initiation to outer zone 1. Makes transition over to outer zone 2, carrying lots of speed now through 3, transitioning to 4. Really on it in that Mustang now that he's settled in for the latter half of the course. One more outer zone to go, one wall ride to go for the first run of qualifying for Reese Tatterson. Crosses the line. We'll see what score he gets.
And nicely done for Reese as well. And an 87 on the board for Reese. Next up, Braden Swan. Turning back in his Z and off and through the chicane. On the run up and swinging into the initiation. Nicely done for outside zone number 1, locked into it. A little slow on the rotation for outside zone number 2, but he fills zone 3 and 4, heading into 5. Puts his tire right along that track edge and transitions into outside zone number 6. Nicely done for 7 as well. Very smooth heading on into that wall and across that finish line. Another strong run here in group number 1.
And Braden Swan ending up with a 94. Wow, group 1 here just coming out strong. It leaves the other 3, well, a little bit itchy at the table as Cameron Mustard sits at the line, that R32. Gets the light to start qualifying. Initiates in. Looking good on the initiation. Right on the yellow line. Maybe one tire off. Transitions to outer zone 2. Now into 3. Carrying lots of wheel speed in that R32. He is flying through this course. Good angle through outer zone 6. Now into the final outer zone. The wall ride puts it right along the wall. Cameron Mustard looking good. Everyone looking good today.
Right. Group number 1 is locked in to these runs here. Cameron Mustard's been on fire as well. A 94 on the board. That'll put him 3rd here in this first group. Stephen Hatcher now coming to the line. Getting that S chassis through the chicane and going for a swing. Initiation could be a little bit deeper for outside zone number 1. Nice and smooth on the rotation for 2, but makes a small angle correction there for outside zone number 3 and going really wide for outside zone number 5. 2 wheels off, maybe even 3. Continuing on though and throwing that car up against the wall, burying the bumper and across that finish line. So finishing strong.
Yeah, finishing strong, doing, just Steven. He's doing Steven Hatcher things. Just once the mistake happens, he realizes, puts the foot to the floor, and don't lift till he sees the checkered flag. Waiting for one more score to come in for Steven before we send Simon Sandman in his S chassis. review, they are going to end up giving Steven a 0 for that run. So it looks like he did go 3 off there when he went off.
Yeah,
So
understandable.
the first 0 of the day, but he still has another run to make up for it. Simon Sandman now at the line. Ready to get down here for qualifying. The Virtual Drift Championships initiates in. Looks good off the initiation just before the edge of that yellow line, flying through outer zone 2 and 3. Now into 4. Makes the transition work into outer zone 6 out of 5. Now into 7. Lots of angle into that wall ride, holding it nicely through it and throwing it down.
Yeah, strong score on the board once more. 91.5 from Simon Sandman. Brandon Patrick now at the line for his first run. Last and final round of season 9. Back in the Z4. Initiating in, getting some good angle through outside zone number 1. Nicely done for 2 and 3 as well. Good transition for 4. Tons of angle through this turn, heading into outside zone number 5. Into 6, right along that track edge, and dipping just a little bit of his wheel off that track edge, bumping the wall, and crossing the finish line. Brandon Patrick.
Brandon on a Hail Mary run for run number 1. Ends up there with an 86.3 for run number 1. As we come to the last of the first runs of qualifying for group number 1 here, with Alexander Yeager throwing it in right along that yellow line for outer zone 1, that E92. Beautiful through outer zone 2 and 3, now through 4, maybe a little too deep through 4, going past that box. Now into 5, and then 6. Alexander Yeager looking good here. Taps the wall a little bit on that wall ride, but holds it together to finish it out.
Yeah, nicely done from Alexander Yeager as well. So we wait on the scores to come through. 91.2, so just group 1 filled with 90s all the way down to 7th. Simon Sandman with his 90, but here's Daniel Andreev for run number 2, putting his wheel right along that yellow line for outside zone number 1. Nicely done on his transition for 2, filling 3, 4 as well. Once again, locked in to his run here. Yellow line once more. Not much to take away from this run. Maybe could have been a little bit deeper at the beginning of that last and final outside zone, but what a run once more for Daniel.
Wow. Absolutely wow. And you know what, Craig? He improves his score. 98 now on the board, and a well-deserved 98. Only like the smallest minuscules of things that our judges would notice. And that was a run to be happy about. He better be happy about that. Sitting on a 92.2, Martinez Ostreka looking to either improve, maybe get a good tiebreaker score. Looking good through outer zone 1 so far, now through 2. Keeping it right on the track edge as he makes his way through 3, now 4, into outer zone 5, right along that edge. Looking good for Martinez's second run. Into the wall ride, puts it right along the wall, and holds it all the way through to the finish.
Insanity here in group number 1, 93.3 on the board for Martinez. Linus Torfus up next. Currently sitting 5th here in group number 1, 92.7 on the board. And here's run number 2, a little bit shallow there on initiation for outside zone number 1. But he's back on the correct line now for turn 2, filling outside zone number 3. Quick transition into 4 and up the hill into outside zone number 5. Nice and smooth on his transition for 6, but dips the wheel at the back of that outside zone. Locked into the last and final one. There he goes across that finish line, finishing out his second run.
Linus not quite getting that 92.7 on run number 2, ending out qualifying with an 88.3 for his lowest score, but he will keep that 92.7. Sitting on an 87 and more than likely wanting to improve, Reese Tatterson here. Getting a little bit deeper there off the initiation into outer zone 1, but probably not as close as he could get it as he makes his way through outer zone 2 and 3. Now through 4, down to 5, right along the track edge for 5. Trying to work his way out there for 6 as well. Now into the wall ride section. He's got to be committed. Try to improve that score. He crosses the line, and we see if he will.
Yeah, I think he might get a bumper so on the score there. We'll wait and see. And there it is, a 92.5. So putting him up into the 90s. Reese Tatterson in his RTR Mustang. Braden Swan at the line, ready to go for run number 2, coming off his 94. So we try and get through these groups here for these drivers, and filling hall of outside zone number 1, coming really close to dropping a tire, but he continues on and is moving through the course. Maybe needs to check up there for zone 5, but he fills it, stays on the track. Same for outside zone number 6 into 7 now. Right along that wall and filling it all the way. Nicely done from Braden Swan.
And a 91.7 for Braden Swan's second and final run of qualifying. So we move over to Cameron Mustard on that 94. Looks super committed in run number 1. Let's see what happens here in run number 2. Initiating in right along that yellow line. Looking good for Cameron Mustard so far. He transitions over to outer zone 2. Maybe a little slow in that transition there. Could have been a little closer to the edge of outer zone 2. Comes into outer zone 5 though. Drops a little bit of a tire outside of outer zone 5. Now through 6 and deep into 7. He's carrying a lot of speed through this course. He makes quick work of it. We'll see if the score helps him though.
And it does. 97 on the board for Cameron Mustard. Again, he's been on fire and seems to be still lit here in round number 6. Stephen Hatcher going off track for outside zone number 5 in run number 1. Initiates in, fills outside zone number 1. Makes the transition for 2. Getting all the way out there, nicely done for 3, maybe a little bit deeper. He's deep for 4, gets a little bit of the rumble, stays on the track this time, filling outside zone number 5, and dips a little bit of tire after outside zone number 6, but settles in nicely to the wall there and crossing the finish line. Stephen Hatcher gets some points on the board.
Yeah, watching that transition from outer zone 6 to 7, I honestly had to hold my breath. I thought he was going into that wall, and he somehow made it and ends out with a 91 for qualifying. So good job there from Stephen Hatcher. Simon Sandman now at the line. Back around in the S chassis, sitting on a 90. Initiates in. Looking good off the initiation, getting that tire right to the line, working its way out there, but really shallow there for outer zone 2. Pulls it out for outer zone 3, though. Little too wide for outer zone 4 as he makes his way through outer zone 5. Now into outer zone 6, holding a nice line angle in the top half of the course here as he comes into the wall ride section, the final outer zone of outer zone 7, and finishes out qualifying.
Yeah, nicely done from Simon. Gets a little bit of lift in his score there, a 90.3 on the board. Brandon Patrick off for his second run, 86.3 currently on the board as he initiates into zone number 1 and on that track edge. Good transition for 2, fills it all the way, fills 3 as well. Snappy transition for 4 and holds good angle into 5, filling it all the way, and a snappy transition into 6 as well. Doesn't drop a tire at the end of that zone this time and puts the wing just right over the wall and across that finish line. Brandon Patrick maybe improving there.
Improving indeed with a 94.7 over that 86.3 for run number 1 for Brandon Patrick as we move to our final driver of Group 1. 4 groups here today. So qualifying's gonna go quick, so make sure not to go anywhere. As Alexander Yegard sitting on that 91.2, initiates into outer zone 1, holds a nice line through outer zone 1, makes it through outer zone 2, a little bobble going towards outer zone 3, quickly makes up for it, maybe too deep for outer zone 4, but regains it for outer zone 5. Now right along the track line of outer zone 6 and down into 7. The final outer zone, the final wall ride of qualifying, he taps it just at the end. Well, we'll just cut it before then.
Into the wall. Man. Will he still get some points on the board for that?
He does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. 86.3. So he'll stick with his 91.2, a solid score indeed. And that's going to round out group number 1. So we'll let group number 2 load in, get some practice runs in. Again, these first couple of drivers, well, really all of group 1 and 2 are doing double duty today, qualifying here first and then going and qualifying for VDM. Virtual Drift Masters will have their main event tomorrow. So then the drivers will come back and finish out the main event for our season finale here for season number 9. So a little challenge those drivers have ahead of them today. I should have, there we are, today's line map. I was missing it when we started the stream, but we've got it. We'll take you through it real quick. So the start of the course, top left-hand side, as you work through the chicane and then initiate in. Again, no detail on that initiation. Fill outside zone number 1 and then make your way across that track for outside zone number 2 and 3. You can kind of look at clip 2 and 3 as the start and finish of the turn. You could draw an outside zone there along the whole entire turn there, but that wouldn't be any fun. It's up to the drivers to create that turn basically using those 2 zones. Same with clip number 4 and 5. And then heading into 6, we have a small little off throttle area. Drivers can lift a little bit there, clutch in, but we don't want to see them using any sort of brakes heading into outside zone number 6. And then number 7, your last and final one, has that decel zone. So we have our next driver ready to go at the line, Robert Kivcinski, to start out group number 2. Here we go. Robert going for the swing and pays off right along that yellow line for outside zone number 2. A little slow on the transition for turn number 2. Didn't really see a whole lot of angle out of that Supra. Decent angle there, but a lot of left foot brake used to get outside zone number 5. Does well for 6 and into 7 now. Backing that Supra up along the wall and finishing out strong.
Yeah, Robert doing a good show there for run number 1. An 83.7 on the board. So we move over to Vitaly Azeyev, our current rookie of the year. Looking to lay down here in qualifying for run number 1. Puts it right on the track line, but maybe goes over it through outer zone 1. Makes up for it in outer zone 2 and now 3. Dipping tire, holding lots of speed as he comes through outer zone 5. Now into 6. Along that track edge, trying to put it exactly in the right spot, but maybe sometimes going a little too far. Bumps the wall there just near the end, and we'll see what kind of score he gets for that.
Yeah, a couple of things here and there that he'll definitely get dinged for, but still a solid score, 89.5. And I believe we have 40 drivers show up today, so as long as we see a score on the board, these drivers will see some battles today, whether it be in the top 32 or the last 16. Ethan Pikachu filling outside zone number 1 and 2 as well. Locked in but could be a little bit deeper for 3. That puts him wide for 4, but nicely done for outside zone number 5. Nice and snappy into 6, maybe lifting a wheel there as well. Nicely done along the wall and crossing that finish line. Ethan Pikachu.
Yeah, Ethan putting in a solid run with a couple mistakes here and there, but nothing too crazy to shake a stick at. As a 95.3 on the board for Ethan. We move around to Stanislav Tarasov in that AMG GT. Initiates in, looks good off the initiation. Through outer zone 1, makes the transition work to outer zone 2, filling outer zone 2 nicely. Maybe could have been a bit deeper into outer zone 3, but it is a very long car, so might have just been the camera angle as it comes out of 4 into 5. Now down into 6 through 7. The wall ride gets it right up on the wall, hangs that wing over, and crosses the finish line.
Yeah, not a bad run for Stanislav. So we wait on that score, a 95.5 on the board. Nico Stalea at the line, ready to go in his FT RX-7. From Escuco. Initiating in. Filling outside zone number 1. Good transition across for 2. Filling 3 as well. Nico locked into run number 1. Maybe a little bit deeper on 4. It was close. Where he needed to be for 5 though, and putting that wheel along the track edge, we do see just a little puff of dirt and the car dip down just a tiny bit, so a teeny tiny little deduction there, but across that finish line, Nico looking good here for round 6.
Nico looking good indeed, 96.2 on the board. Very solid run number 1 as Nick Hang looks to maybe match it as he gets the light to start qualifying. He's going to hang it all out here off the initiation. Gets it going through outer zone number 1. Makes transition now to outer zone 2, filling all of outer zone 2 and 3. Makes the transition work for outer zone 4. Dives it down to 5. Looking solid here for Nick Hang as he comes through outer zone 6. One last transition to go into that wall ride. And completes it perfectly. Good run from Nick Hang.
Yeah, Nick looking good once again in the most unique car this season. 96.2 on the board for Nick. That puts him in 4th position here in group number 2. Alan Hines ready to go in through the chicane in his Heinze RTR Mustang. Going for the big swing, using all of that track and planting the wheel along that yellow line for outside zone number 1, 2 as well, 3 as well, as he continues on up the hill, filling 4 up into outside zone number 5, right along that track edge, transitioning into outside zone number 6, last and final one into 7, and puts the bumper along the wall. My goodness gracious, Alan Hines across that finish line. God.
I hope you hit the replay on that.
Oh yeah.
I think that's our highest scored run ever.
It might.
We're going to go back and fact check this. You're staying at the line here for a second, Ernestus. Alan Hines just cracked off a 99.2. That is mental. Tell me you're fighting for a championship and going, I am taking this all the way home.
Who was it? Okay.
Wow. Okay, Ernestus. Let's send you. We got to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure 99.2 is the highest score ever given that I've ever seen in the VDC. As Ernestus gets the light, heads down to initiate in for run number 1, looking good through outer zone 1, transitions into outer zone 2, holding a nice line and angle through outer zone 3, transitions to 4, now down into 5, making the transition work, a little bobble there through 6, but makes up for it in outer zone 7, puts it right along the wall, finishes out the run.
Yeah, nicely done from Ernestus, and not a bad follow-up to Ellen's insane score. 95 on the board, just filled with 90s. Don't let it fool you, everyone watching. The track is not this easy. Mustafa Amine at the line, ready for his first run here. And he making it into the 90s as well. Initiating in. Filling outside zone number 1. Good transition across. Really filling outside zone number 2 and 3 as well. 4. Mustafa locked in. He looked good in practice as well. Good transition into 6. Last and final one here, heading to the wall. Picks that throttle up quickly and gives the wall a little rub before crossing that finish line.
Mustafa throwing it down too. Everybody today is just on point. I think we're in for a great finale here today as a 96.2 for Mustafa Amine's first run as Daniel Mora makes his way to the line in that E30 BMW. It's our final set of the first runs for group number 2. Then we go back up to the top and run them all again. Light goes on and off he goes. Initiates in, flicks it in, looking good off the initiation, keeping it all the way out to that yellow line. Very tiny car, so he's got to get it in the right spots. He comes through outer zone 4 down to 5. Still looking good out there. Maybe a little too much angle for 6, but he makes it work. Into outer zone 7, stays on throttle and finishes it all the way out.
Yeah, nicely done from Daniel as well. Again, these first 2 groups on fire before sending them off to go qualify in VDM. 91.5 on the board for Daniel. Here's Robert Kivsinski coming off to 83.7. See if he can improve on that score. He puts a wheel maybe just barely over the line. It's really close for outside zone number 1. Again, lacking some angle there through that first transition. He picks up the angle there for turn number 2, filling outside zone number 5. Transitions into 6, but goes a little wide and drops the tire. And bumping the wall again before crossing the finish line. Let's see if that will improve his score. It'll be close.
Yeah, it will be close, but he does manage to improve it by about 6 points, 88.7 now on the board for run number 2. So it moves him up just a little bit as Vitaly Azayev sits at the line, sitting on that 89.5. He wants to improve this score. Initiates in, looking way better off the initiation through outer zone 1. Now makes the drive down to outer zone 2 into 3. Starting to pick up a lot of speed here. Throws the angle at it out of outer zone 4 into 5. Now into outer zone 6. Dropping tire out of the exit of outer zone 6, but making the transition work into outer zone 7. Holds it right up against the wall. Finishes out that run smoothly.
Yeah, I think doing a little bit better there. Coming out that 89.5. We'll wait and see from those judges. Yeah, 96 on the board for Vitaly. And Rookie of the Year is what it looks like he will take home for the season. Ethan Pikachu initiating in and putting a wheel on that track edge for outside zone number 1. Pulling out of the angle maybe a little bit early, leaving outside zone number 1, but gets back into the line there, using a little bit of that rumble strip and filling outside zone number 5. 6 as well, keeps it on the track. Last and final transition, big angle into this last and final wall run, giving it a little smooch before crossing the finish line.
I think the drivers are just out for blood today. That's what it's seeming like. These runs are absolutely insane to watch. 96.2 improving on the 95.3 that Ethan was last sitting on. Over to Stanislav now, sitting on that 95.5. Can he improve? Flick initiation with that big-bodied AMG GT and makes it work through outer zone 1. Gets the transition done through outer zone 2. Holds it beautifully through 3. Transitioning into 4 down towards 5. Still on throttle. Still making it work as he comes out of outer zone 6 for the decel zone. Into outer zone 7. Puts it right up along the wall and finishes out run number 2.
Coming off the 95.5 and does improve 97.3. That'll put him 3rd here in group number 2. Nico Stalea 96.2. Currently sitting 5th in that bundle of 96.2s right now. Can he improve? filling outside zone number 1. Good transition for 2, filling outside zone number 3. Another good transition for 4. And 5 as well on a really good line there through that turn. Filling outside zone 6, but he drops a tire once more. Leaving outside zone number 6, maybe carrying just a little bit too much speed across in that finish line. See if that's enough to improve.
I think it'll be close there for Nico. 96.2, waiting on one more score. There it is, does improve. 98.2, goes up 2 points to push himself into the 98s. Absolutely mental here today. Also sitting on a 96.2. Well, Nick Hang. He's got to hang it all out once more. Initiates in. Could have been a little better off the initiation, but boiks up for it all the way through outer zone 1. Now through outer zone 2 and 3, holding lots of angle, carrying tons of speed as he goes through outer zone 4 and down to outer zone 5. Really on a tear here, Nick Hang. Throwing it around as he comes into outer zone 7. Gets right up near that wall. Finishes out the run smooth. Will it be enough to improve that 96.2?
And falling just a little bit shy, less than a point. 95.7 on the board for Nick Hang. He'll stay with that 96.2. Here's Alan Hines for run number 2, coming off the 99.2. What can he do here? Filling outside zone number 1. Making his transition for outside zone number 2, 3 as well. Allen is locked into this course. Filling 4, heading up into 5. Almost dropping tire, but stays on the course. Good transition for 6 as well. Last and final one here, heading into the wall. Putting that bumper right along it and crossing that finish line.
No way he improves this. No way he improves this.
So he stayed off the rumble heading into the last and final turn. I think that maybe what gave him a couple of deductions. I know you see it.
Wow. So what we thought was the highest score ever given in the VDC has now just been broken again. 99.3 for Alan Hines. As Ernestus Yakulibis. Chris ain't giving us no time. He's just sending them. 95 for Ernestus here. Coming through the top of the first half of the course. Now into the second through outer zone 4. Down towards outer zone 5. Puts the bumper right on the edge of the course. And he's driving it nicely here. He's looking to improve that 95. I'm still in shock from Alan Hines, but Ernestus throwing down a great run number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Ernestus feeling it there after that run as well. Will it be enough to better the 95? It is 97.7 on the board. That'll put him in 4th position, just ahead of Stanislav. Mustafa, 96.2. In that sea of 96.2s, Mustafa sits 7th right now. This will determine where he slots in. Filling outside zone number 1. Good transition. Filling 2, maybe could have been a little bit deeper, but good on 3, good on 4 as well as he works up the hill and fills 5, stays on that course somehow, makes that transition. Big angle, corrects just a tiny bit, using a little bit of that rumble. Judges said they want to see him not use it. It would be a small deduction. We'll see if that's enough to better than 96.2. The judges are trolling me.
Oh no.
It's a 96.2.
No way. So he gets the 96.2 for run number 2. As we move over to our final driver of group number 2. Daniel Mora sitting on that 91.5, wanting to improve. Makes transition to outer zone 2. Could have been deeper into outer zone 3. Way up on the rumble strip, so for outer zone 4 and almost missing outer zone 5. Having to make some huge corrections while jumping some tire to try and keep that tiny E30 on the course. But makes it up and does get points on the board for run number 2.
Yeah, an 80.5, so he'll stick with that 91.5. Alan Hines sits number 1 after 2 groups of qualifying, 99.3. Nico Saleha, 98.2, and Daniel Under, you have 98. So we'll wish those drivers the best of luck as they head on off to the Virtual Drift Masters qualifying and attempt qualifying over there for their tomorrow's main event. So we'll take a quick break. I do believe there is a quick server restart, and we'll get the next group of qualifying into the server, and we'll be right back.
Never tried, tell them all. Big dreams, I got big dreams, just like baby. I've been joining forces with the likes of an A-G. Jumping off of buildings used to be so stimulating. Now I'm reaching new heights, I'ma leave the off.
All right, and we are back once more again with qualifying here in round number 6, our last and final round of season 9 here at Kalinago Circuit. It is not a real circuit, fantasy track created by 00, and then we put our layout on top of us. If you're just now joining us, you missed it. Alan Hines put down a 99.2 and then a 99.3, but Nico came in hot with a 98.2 as well. Daniel Andriev with his 98, rounding out our top 3 for 2 groups of qualifying. Those drivers are now headed off to try and qualify for the Virtual Drift Masters. Their main event is tomorrow, and then they'll be back over here later on today for battles. Our next group coming up, group number 3, will be Zach O'Sullivan, Daryl Diaz, Olivier Blias, Marcus Lundquist, good to have Marcus back, Brandon Gardner, Russell Jones, Ethan Minima, Oliver Eppinger, Luciano Canero, and Kawane Ebanks here for group number 3. And they've got a lot ahead of them, a lot of 90s on the board here today. But, have no doubt they'll sort it out and be right on into the 90s as well. Tanner, what do you think?
I'm still in shock, Craig. You know, the highest score that's ever been received in the Virtual Drift Championships. That is a huge achievement. And B, you know, there's a championship fight going on. Zach has to throw down now. He has to get right up there. If he has any hopes of hopefully taking this championship away from Alan Hines, who currently leads it in the points.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a quick look at the standings. We posted them to our socials as well. Alan Hines sits on top, 372 points. Tikon Pileski in second place with that 362. Unfortunately, I didn't see him in the driver's list today. I know he is spotting for someone in RDS. We were hoping we'd see him today anyway. But unfortunately, I don't think he showed up. Zach O'Sullivan, though, sitting third with 338. He still has a fighting chance here in the last and final round. And then working all the way down, it's really kind of anyone's game here in the top 32. I believe we'll bring our first driver to the line. It will be Zach O'Sullivan to kick off group number 3. Will we see 100 today? We've already, there is that 99 on the board. It came real close. We did see technically 100 on the board from a judge. Our head judge, Chris, gave out 100. So let's see. Zach going to the line, starting out group number 3, sitting third in that championship. What can he do? The track, yeah, you can download it now from overtake.gg, and then our layout will be released here after the round. Here's Zach O'Sullivan initiating in, putting a wheel along that track edge for outside zone number 1, filling zone number 2, 3 as well, working up the hill now for 4. Zach is locked in for his first run, filling 5 into 6 as well. Did he put a little wheel into the orange there across that yellow line? It was really close. He's deep in the outside zone number 7 along that wall and across the finish line. My goodness gracious.
Oh, bye. I'm waiting for that last score to come in. You gotta sit there a little bit longer there, Daryl. Wow.
Ooh.
So a 99, a 99, a 97.5 ends up with a 98.5 for run number 1. He has a fighting chance here. Could he get it in run number 2? Daryl Diaz now at the line. Wow. And I think that's what it came down to, was that tire drop there in that one outer zone as Daryl Diaz initiates in. Could have been a bit deeper through outer zone 1, but it's run number 1. Take it a little easy, feel it out. Little shallow into outside zone 2 as well, but filling 3 and 4, going a little wide for 4 and leaving that outer box, getting up onto that rumble through 5 now into 6, holding it beautifully through 6, down into 7, and doing a good job through 7, leaving some room on the table, but feeling it out. Very good run from Daryl Diaz.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. With 40 drivers here today, everyone's going to make it into battles. So, work on just getting some points on the board. He gets a 94.3, a strong score. Indeed, either way. But yeah, get some points on the board. Then really go after it for run number 2. Olivier. Lights are on. And he is through the chicane, ready to go for his first run here in the last and final round, and dips a little tire over that yellow line for outside zone number 1. Nicely done for 2, though. 3 as well as he works his way up the hill. Big transition for 4, heading into 5, filling it all the way, doing a good job into 6 as well, keeping it on the track. We've seen a couple of drivers dropping a tire, leaving outside zone number 6, leaves the wall a little bit before crossing that finish line.
A 90.8 on the board for Olivier. Very good starting score as we come over to a good friend, Marcus, Mr. Pink Drifter Lundquist. Good to see you back. Initiates into outer zone 1 in the hot Boyd S13. Gotta love it. Through outer zone 2, then 3. Throwing that S13 around. I love that no changes have been made. It's just as pink as ever. Through outer zone 6, now into the wall ride of 7. Marcus putting on a pretty good show here for run number 1.
Yeah, good job from Marcus. Again, good to see him back. And look at there, decent score on the board, 93.8. It's hard to tell today, all these 90s on the board. Brandon Gardner at the line, ready to go for his first run. off. Initiating in and putting a wheel right along that track edge. On for the first transition here, right along the edge of outside zone number 2. Could have maybe been a little bit deeper for 3, but good on 4. Heading up the hill, filling outside zone number 5 and 6 as well. Can he keep it on the track? There we see that little tiny tire drop, but hanging his wing over that wall there before crossing that finish line. Overall, solid run from Brandon Gardner.
Brandon Gardner swinging it out, getting a 95, run number 1. And like I said, qualifying is going fast. Only one more group to go, and we're already halfway through this group. Russell Jones at the line, gets the light to start qualifying. Initiates in. Looking good off the initiation. Maybe dropping a tire. It was very hard to tell there. It was very close as he makes a little correction going into outer zone 3, but makes it work for outer zone 4. Now diving towards outer zone 5, making the transition towards outer zone 6, keeping it on that line and keeping it at a good angle as well as he makes the final transition to outer zone 7, keeps that foot planted and crosses the line.
Yeah, good run from Russell Jones there. 94.2 on the board. Again, just 90s after 90s. Haven't seen many down into the 80s, none into the 70s. Ethan Minima. Line ready to go. Jumping off that line and through the chicane. And initiating in, putting a wheel on that track edge, leaves it just a little bit. Overall, nicely done for 1, 2 as well. As he makes a small little correction there in outside zone number 3. Big angle for that turn heading into outside zone number 5, now 6. And we see the little wobbles there in those front wheels. Ethan out front and across that finish line.
Yeah, just very small little things here and there that added up, but a 96 on the board. That's not a shabby way to start things out for run number 1. We move over to Oliver Eppinger, getting the lights to start qualifying that A80 Supra. Down the straight, big flick initiation through outer zone 1, not as deep, leaving a little bit of room on the table, but holding it together through outer zone 2 and 3. Good line and angled through those. Now into outer zone 4, maybe going a bit wide. Into 5, not as deep as he could have been. Then into 6, jumps the tire, makes a quick correction, and then grabs it back through 6, and now holding it all the way through 7, finishing out the run.
And a 95.7 on the board for Oliver. Here's Luciano Camaro. Ready to go for his first run. And initiating in. Could have been a little bit deeper there after that initiation for outside zone number 1, 2 as well. Not so bad on 3. Nicely done for 4. Heading into 5. Maybe taking the safe route here for his first run. As he's filling the zones, just could be a little bit deeper. Nicely done on that last and final one along the wall. Send Luciano across that finish line. We'll wait and see what that score is going to be, and does make it into the 90s.
Yeah, he definitely does. 91 on the board for Luciano, but definitely playing it safe on that run, feeling out the course first. So, still has another run to make up for it. Quayne Ebanks, our last driver here for the first set of runs for group number 3, initiates into outer zone 1 before we go back up to the top to see Zach O'Sullivan once more through outer zone 3 and 4. He comes throwing lots of angle out of outer zone 4 into outer zone 5. Makes his way through outer zone 6. Quayne really making quick work of the course and throwing that GTR around. He finishes out his run solid.
And a 94.5. Nicely done as we work back around to now Zach O'Sullivan. Coming back to the line, 98.5 currently on the board for Zach. Sitting second here in qualifying behind Alan Hines, and second in the championship behind Alan Hines. Can he improve here on run number 2? we go. Initiating in. That could be a little bit deeper for outside zone number 1. Does end up with the tire on that track edge. Nicely done for outside zone 2 and 3. 4 as well, as he pours on the angle heading into outside zone number 5. Good transition for outside zone number 6 as well. Last and final one. Stays off that rumble. Puts the bumper along the wall there. And across that finish line, a solid run from Zach O'Sullivan.
So close. Zach manages a 99.2, putting him into second place with Alan Hines just ahead. And I think it's all going to come down to just not getting that tire as early onto outer zone 1, and that's why Chris docked him a little bit of points as we move over to Daryl Diaz, sitting on that 94.3, ready to go in that S chassis. The lights turn on for his second run of qualifying. Initiates in. Starts out a bit shallow, but works the way out to that line as he gets through outer zone 1. Not as deep into outer zone 2 as he could be, but outer zone 3 filled nicely. Same with 4. Pouring on the angle towards outer zone 5. Fills it nicely towards outer zone 6. Lots of angle thrown again. Doesn't quite get out to that yellow line, but holds it nicely to make the transition work into outer zone 7, where he wall rides the whole wall and finishes out run number 2.
Yeah, nicely done from Daryl. 92 on the board. So just falling shy of his 94.3, but that 94 is a strong score. Have to see where that places him for today, as that's really all that's on the board. Let's be honest, is 90s. Here's Olivier with his 90.8, filling outside zone number 1, transitioning into outside zone number 2. 3 as well, working up the hill, filling outside zone number 4 and into 5. Olivier on a heater right now, filling 6, and maybe I shouldn't have said anything, as we see a little puff of dirt leaving outside zone number 6. He leaves the wall a little bit too, right before crossing that finish line.
Playing with that commentator's curse.
It's my fault.
Ending out run number 2 with an 87.2. So a good little tiebreaker score if it comes down to it for Olivier. So we move back over to Marcus, Mr. Pink Drifter Lundquist, ready to rock it out for his second run of qualifying. Sitting on that 93.8, the lights go on, and here we go. Down the straight, initiates in. Looking good through outer zone 1 off that initiation so far as he makes his way to outer zone 2, fills it nicely through outer zone 3 down to 4. Lots of angle, but makes it work through outer zone 5 as well. Now into 6, goes way off, drops 2 tires in outer zone 6, so he's got to readjust for outer zone 7 and finishes out his run.
Yeah, still not a bad run at all from Marcus. We missed him all season. He didn't get a car in until this last and final round, I believe. And here he is, competing in at 84.7. So I'll hang on to that 93.8. And we've got Brandon Gardner at the line ready to go. And his E92 Balance Racing E92 sitting on a 95. Can he better it? Can he go after the perfect score that these drivers are coming very close to getting through the chicane? And initiating in, could be a little bit deeper in outside zone number 1. Goes for that transition, fills 2, makes a little pobble there, heading into 3 and working through 4 up the hill. Filling outside zone number 5, good transition for 6 and keeps it on the course. Heading into 7 now, right along that wall, hanging the wing over it, and across that finish line. Nicely done.
Brandon there wanting to improve that 95, and improve he does, a 97.8, which beats it out by another 2.8 points. So we move over to Russell Jones. Russell Jones sitting on that 94.2. Everybody wants to improve. Can Russell Jones? Down the straight. Initiates in that brand new Supra. through outer zone 1, now into outer zone 2, looking good through outer zone 2 into outer zone 3, making the transition work into outer zone 4, puts it almost right to the track edge there. For outer zone 5, 6 looking good, one more to go, puts it into outer zone 7, hangs it on, but taps that wall right near the end, but hangs on to the run.
He sure does, sitting on that 94.2. And falls shy, 91 for run number 2. Ethan Minima at the line, ready to go for his second run. Lights are on, illuminated, and through the chicane. Sitting on a 96 is Coral Roots. E36, filling outside zone number 1. Nicely done on the transition 4-2. Fills 3. Big transition up the hill and pouring on the angle, using a little bit of left foot brake to make it out there to outside zone number 5 and all the way to the track edge, leaving outside zone number 6, filling 7 as well, giving the wall a little kiss there before crossing the finish line. Nicely done from Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan really throwing it out for run number 2. And then, wow, a 98.5 on the board for Ethan Minima. Very good job indeed. Next at the line is Oliver Eppinger. 3 more drivers to go in Group 3 before we get to our final group of qualifying. Oliver gets the light and off he goes. Sitting on that 95.7, initiates in. Looking good through outer zone 1. Makes the transition to outer zone 2. Not as deep into outer zone 2 as he could be through 3. Now into 4. He's flying through the course. Lots of angle through outer zone 5. Maybe could have filled it just a little bit better as he comes through 6. Now makes the transition into 7. Holds it through 7. Puts that wing over the wall and finishes out the run.
Nicely done from Oliver Eppinger, 95.2, so falling just a tiny bit shy of the 95.7, but otherwise still a strong run. 14th, he sits in that qualifying order. Luciano sitting on his 91. Transitions for 2. Doesn't quite fill it all the way. Fills 3 and up into 4 as well. Working all the way out there for outside zone number 5. Transitions across for 6 and puts that wheel right along that track edge there as well, heading into 7. Nicely done from Luciano, leaving the wall just a tiny bit, but crossing that finish line on quite a good run there.
Quite a good run indeed. That 94.5 improving that 91. As now also sitting on a 94.5, Kawayne Ebanks, our final driver of group number 3, before we get into our last group of qualifying. Initiates in, little over on outer zone 1, dropping 1 or 2 tires there through outer zone 1, makes up for it in outer zone 2, now makes it clean through 3, up on the rumbles for 4 though. He is really going for it in run number 2, but maybe in all the wrong ways, as he makes it through outer zone 6 into 7. Does a good job through 7 though, and really makes up for that run in outer zone 7.
Yeah, that might have been the best outside zone number 7 we've seen today. My goodness gracious, just burying the bumper into that wall, but falling shy, 89.8. But that's gonna round out group number 3 of qualifying, and my goodness, again, we really just have 180 from Robert on the board, heading into our last and final group of qualifying here. Group number 4, Alan still sitting on top with the 99.3, Zach O'Sullivan with a 99.2, and Ethan with a 98.5 for your top 3 qualifiers here. Next up, Abdulaziz Al-Harbi, Victor Lacheris, Kazuki Fukushi, Masashi Yoshida, Victor Alves, William Holloway, Brett Wolford, Brandon Williams, Deshaun Reeves, Jordan Elnuss, Austin Zalewski, and Christian Petrov, all up in our last and final group of qualifying here. Before heading into the last 16, we'll have a couple of bye runs in there, 4 to be exact, but we'll still fill that bracket up and send them on through to determine who goes to the top 32 later on today. And if you're just joining us as well and you haven't seen our socials, here are the current top 32 standings. Alan Hines sitting at number 1, 372 points. Tikon Pileski, unfortunately, his name is not on that list of drivers. He is spotting for someone in RDS. We were hoping he'd be able to show up today and put on a fight for the championship. But Zach O'Sullivan is here with his 338 points, and he still has a chance at the championship here in the last and final round. All right, getting last call from those judges. Round out there a little bit of practice rounds before we bring our first driver to the line for our last and final group, Abdulaziz Al Harbi. It's coming to the line, Abdulaziz Al Harbi. Start things out for our last and final group. Again, can we see anything higher than this 99.3 from this last and final group? Waiting on judges to send them. There they are. Lights are on. Here we go through the chicane. Abdulaziz went for a big initiation here. And it could be a little bit deeper for outside zone number 1. Makes the transition for outside zone number 2. Fills 3. We do see a little puff of dirt there. I didn't see the car get upset. A little bit inside on that turn heading up the hill. Doesn't quite fill outside zone number 5. Fills 6, all right, maybe leaves it a little bit early and then works through the last and final outside zone, crossing that finish line.
Wow, that car looks like it has a lot of speed in it. It was flying through that track. 86.2 for Abdulaziz Al Harbi's first run, but he's still got another one to make up any points that he thinks he may have missed. Victor Lacheris now at the line, ready to go for run number 1 of qualifying. Out of the gate, down the straight, initiating in. Victor sends it through outer zone 1. Looks good so far through outer zone 1. Makes the transition over to outer zone 2 and 3. Pulls the angle out, transitions into outer zone 4, down to 5. Drops a little bit tire on the outside of 5. Makes his way through 6, now into 7. Holds it beautifully through 7, right into that wall. I thought he was going to touch it, but he just missed it as he finishes out run number 1.
Yeah, nice job from Victor Lacheris. 95.3 on the board. Fukushi ready to go. And through the chicane in his Corolla. On for that initiation. Nicely job so far through outside zone number 1. Big angle correction there, leaving it though as he pours it on and drops a tire for outside zone number 3. Fills outside zone number 4, 5 as well before making that transition into 6. Nicely done. Last and final transition here, heading along that wall for outside zone number 7 and across that finish line.
Yeah, Kazuki not doing too shabby for run number 1, 84.8 on the board. So some things to look at to improve on for run number 2, as Masashi Yoshida now sits at the line, that BMW wagon. Let's see what Masashi can lay down here for run number 1. Initiates in, looking good through outer zone 1. Makes the transition happen to outer zone 2, over to 3. Holding a nice line so far into outer zone 4, down towards outer zone 5. Looking good for Masashi here. He makes the transition, the final transition into outer zone 7. Lots of angle. Yoshida finishing it out beautifully.
Yeah, nicely done. I got a glimpse of him in practice this morning, and he looked good at 97.3 on the board. So a strong score for Sheeta. Victor Alves up next, returning back in his S15. Initiating in, but shallow for outside zone number 1. Does work out there to that track edge and fills outside zone number 2. Works his way through 3 and up the hill for 4. Using a little bit of left foot brake. He's a little bit on the inside, and we'll see it there with outside zone number 5. Not quite filling it. And 6 as well. It could have been maybe a little bit deeper. And 7 finishing it out and getting some points on the board is Victor Alves.
Yeah, Victor almost looking like he was playing it a bit safe, maybe feeling out the course. An 88 to start things out with, though, isn't too shabby as he still has that second run. So William Holloway now sits at the line, ready to go in that FD RX-7. Great to see a few of these FDs still kicking around, because they are so nice to look at as he initiates in through outer zone 1, looking good through outer zone 1. Now transitioning to outer zone 2, filling it nicely through 3. Transitioning to 4, getting up on that rumble though, so he's gonna have to see if it works for him in 5. It does. Makes his way through outer zone 6, flicks it over to outer zone 7, makes contact with that wall just a little bit, not enough to really upset him as he finishes out the run.
Job from William. Been getting a lot of practice this week here in that car and the track, and an 88.8 on the board, so falling just shy of that 90, but he's got some points on the board and he will see battles no matter what. Brett Wolford at the line and through the chicane, returning back in his Mustang and initiating in. Could be deeper for outside zone number 1. Makes his transition, fills 2 as well, fills 3, and works his way up the hill. Nicely done for 4 and 5. Good transition, nice and smooth into outside zone number 6 and 7 as well. Picks up that throttle, jumps off the wall, but works it back out to the outside, and nicely done from Brett.
94.3 on the board for Brett Wolford. Very good job. Cleans up, clean up that initiation a little bit, and I think that's a pretty high score waiting on the board for him as Brandon Williams pulls up to the line and ready to start run number 1 of qualifying. Brandon heads on out and initiates in. Little shallow through outer zone 1, works his way out there by the end of it as he makes transition to outer zone 2. Could have filled 2 a little bit more, but 3 looking good, same with 4. He makes his way down to 5, filling all of outer zone 5. Now through outer zone 6, putting it right on the yellow line and down towards 7. Little contact with the wall, had to make an angle adjustment, but finished itself the run.
Yeah, we'll still end up with some points on the board. There it is, 88.2 on the board. Ajan at the line. Our only Corvette connoisseur in the field. Going for his initiation and putting his wheel on that yellow line, locked into outside zone number 1, 2 as well. So he works his way through 3 and drops a little bit of tire, almost a little bit too wide there for outside zone number 4 as well. Fills 5 and maybe hanging a wheel over 6 is really close as he pours on the angle for outside zone number 7, puts that bumper along the wall and crosses the finish line. Nicely done from Rampage.
And John really sending it there, maybe sending it a little too much. I guess we'll see when the score comes in, a 92.7. So a couple things he could clean up on, but very solid score at that 92.7. Jordan L. Nasser now at the line, ready to go for run number 1 of qualifying. Initiates in. Looks good off the initiation to the yellow line there through outer zone 1. Makes transition work through outer zone 2. A little wide through outer zone 3. Dropping some tire, but makes up for it in outer zone 4. Through 5, kicking up just some dirt as he comes through outer zone 6. And now into outer zone 7. As long as he doesn't hit that wall, drives it a little far forward, but gets back out there by the end. Not a shabby first run for Jordan.
No, will definitely be some points on the board, so they'll see some battles. 85.3 on the board to be exact. We move along to Austin Zalewski. He initiates in, works his way through outside zone number 1. Nicely done. Good transition, but shallow for outside zone number 2 and 3 as well. Fills 4, works up the hill, fills 5 as well. Good transition for 6, picks up that throttle and lays into it, into 7 as well, working his way along that wall, but leaves it just a little bit and crosses that finish line.
So Austin ending up with that 92.7 as we move to our final driver for the first runs of Group 4 and the final runs of qualifying. Christian Petrov at the line, getting the light to start it out before we go back up to the top to Abdulaziz Al-Harbi. Initiates into outer zone 1, looking good through outer zone 1. Makes the transition to outer zone 2, leaving a little bit of room on the table there as he comes through 3 and 4 very nicely. Down towards outer zone 5, filling all of outer zone 5 and 6. Looking dialed in now in the top half of the course as he bounces off the wall on the initiation into outer zone 7. Holds it through nicely and finishes out the run.
Yeah, getting a piece of that wall on outside zone number 7 and an 87.2 on the board for Christian Petrov. So we work our way back around to Abdulaziz Al-Harbi, 86.2 he currently has on that board. Just not quite filling the zones in run number 1 and doing a good job here. Run number 2 for outside zone number 1, filling 2 this time as well. 3, maybe leaving it just a little bit early, using a little bit of that rumble strip and getting out to 5. Making that transition across, picking up that throttle, and last and final one here, putting it into the wall. Oh my goodness gracious. I think he thought he was going to get into the wall, turned into it, but just never, never made contact.
Yeah, you could have maybe committed there and saved those points that he was trying to rack up, but sadly ends up with a 0 for run number 2. Sitting on a 95.3, Victor Lacheris at the line in that FCRX7, ready to go. Wanting to improve. Out of the gate and down the straight, initiating in. Looking good so far through outer zone 1, down into outer zone 2. And now through 3, Victor picking up the speed as he comes through outer zone 4 and goes through outer zone 5. I thought he was going to drop a tire, but he didn't. Beautifully done as he comes through 6, now into 7. Victor Lacheris staying on it and finishing out his second run of qualifying.
Yeah, last and final zone was right along that wall. Nicely done. 95.5, so just barely beating his 95.3. Suzuki through the chicane for his second run. 84.4 on the board as he initiates and puts a wheel along that track edge. Filling outside zone number 1, makes the transition for outside zone number 2. Could have been maybe a little bit deeper for 3, and he's going super wide heading into outside zone number 5. Just didn't quite get settled on the angle, and it really rocket shitted him up the hill. And that's, yeah, gonna fall short of that 84.8.
And falling short, definitely indeed. 73.3. As we move over to Masashi Yoshida. Initiating in, sitting on that 97.3, a fantastic run number 1 as he comes through outer zone 2, leaving a little bit of room there through outer zone 2, but really swings it through outer zone 4 down into 5. Now through outer zone 6, keeping it along that track edge. Now into outer zone 7. Masashi Yoshida looking good here, maybe just looking for a tiebreaker even, or wanting to improve. We'll see what happens.
Ooh, and falling a whole point shy, 96.3 on the board. So he'll stay with that 97.3 on the board. Victor Alves with his 88. See if he can work his way outside of that last 16 qualifying battles. Coming up next, filling outside zone number 1. Making that transition and could be deeper for 2 and 3. Big transition up the hill. Pours on the angle because he needs to and still drops a tire there for outside zone number 5. Fills 6. Last and final transition. Getting a piece of the wall. He continues on and across that finish line.
Really setting it for run number 2 was Victor Alves, 88.7, so does improve just a little bit there for Victor's. William Holloway pulls up to the line now, sitting on that 88.8, wanting to improve. Let's see if he can get it done in run number 2, the final run of qualifying, the final group of qualifying. Down the straight he goes and initiating in. Right along that yellow line. Had to feather it a little bit to bring it back, but he makes it work. Gets through outer zone 2, now 3. As he starts to dial into his run, starts to find that line, find the angle as he comes through outer zone 5, now transitioning to outer zone 6. Not dropping a tire through 6 as he makes the final transition to outer zone 7, really making up for run number 1.
Yeah, I think so. Wait and see what that score is going to be. Currently, that 88.8. And a 96 on the board. Moving his way up. Brett Wolford now at the line. 94.3 currently on the board. We could do for run number 2. Swings that Mustang in. Filling outside zone number 1 a little bit better this time for run number 2. Filling outside zone number 3. Transitions up the hill using a little bit of that rumble, and he does go a little bit wide, dropping a tire at outside zone number 5. Stays on course for 6. Last and final transition into the wall and working his way around and across that finish line.
Brett wanting to improve on that 94.3, comes just shy of that 91.2 for his final run of qualifying, sitting on an 88.2 though. This man here, Brandon Williams. Let's see if he can improve on that 88. Initiates in, looks better off the initiation this time around, holding it right on that white yellow line all the way through outer zone 1, still leaving some room through outer zone 2 and 3, but making up for it in outer zone 4. Brings it all the way through outer zone 5, and now holding it nicely along outer zone 6 with just a quick correction, barely noticeable, but he touches the wall in outer zone 7, but it doesn't upset him too much and should actually bump up his score.
And it does just a bit, an 89.3. Here's Dijon Reeves back at the line. Again, our only Corvette in the field. Appreciating for repping the vets. See what he can do here on run number 2. Again, our top 28 are locked in to today's top 32. The rest will go down onto the last 16 qualifying battles as he transitions up the hill, filling outside zone number 5. Dijon on a heater here, filling outside zone number 6 into 7. Now big angle makes a correction there, keeps it going and across that finish line. Nicely done.
We wait for the scores. Dijon Reeves there improving just a little bit, 93.8. Moving up just a little higher there in the scores. Jordan L. Nasser sitting on 85.3. Let's see what they can do for run number 2. Initiating in. Looking better off the initiation this time for Jordan L. Nasser along that yellow line all the way through outer zone 1, filling all of outer zone 2 and 3. Makes the transition work for outer zone 4 as he dives down towards outer zone 5. Fills it nicely. Jordan jumps some tire there out of outer zone 6, but holding it together. And that Jordan That, Jordan, was a solid run. Good for you, my
It
friend.
sure was, but you jinxed it, Tanner. Dropping the tire just a little bit there, leaving outside zone number 6. Overall, nicely done, and that's going to be into the 90s for Jordan, 91.8. We'll pull up our cutoff box and give it a reset. Refresh. So we watch Austin Zalewski here with his 92.7. We see that cutoff score for the top 28 that get locked into the top 32, 92.7 as he transitions up the hill now, filling outside zone number 4, heading into 5. Austin locked in here for run number 2, filling outside zone number 6, into 7 now, picks up that throttle, works his way around that wall, and finishes out his second run.
Also looking good there for run number 2, and shows the reason why. 98.3 on the board as we now come to our last run in qualifying for the finals here of the Virtual Drift Championship. Christian Petrov sitting on that 87.2. But don't go too far, as we got the last 16 battles coming up right after Christian's run as he comes through outer zone 1 and 2 and 3, 4 now. It goes by quick at this circuit as he dumps the tire going into outer zone 5, makes the transition for outer zone 6, but goes wide, drops 2 more tires as he makes up for it in outer zone 7, not making contact with the wall and finishing out the run.
Yeah, a little bit better there as he disconnects there at the end of his run and teleports through the map. So as you said, as you pointed out, that is going to do it for traditional qualifying here in the last and final round of season 9. Christian gets an 82 on the board, and Alan Hines hangs on to that number 1 position, 99.3. Zach O'Sullivan with his 99.2. This will make the gap in those championship points just a tiny bit different there, but again, Zach has a fighting chance here in the last and final round. Ethan Minima with his 98.5, Austin Zalewski with a 98.3, Nico Stalea with a 98.2, Daniel Andreev with his 98, Brandon Gardner with a 97.8, and Ernestas Yakuldis with a 97.7 to round out our top 8. And then we'll look further into the points there and where it gets cut off. So we'll see Linus Tornquist and down going to our last 16 qualifying battles, again coming right up. So we're gonna take a small little break, get our servers set up, get our bracket set up for the last 16 qualifying battles, and we'll decide who goes into the last and final rounds top 32 main event. So don't go anywhere, we'll take a little break and we'll be right back.
Goodbye.
All right, we are back again here for the final round of the Virtual Drift Championship Season 9. And we're here with the last 16 qualifying battles. Let's take a look at our bracket here. After a refresh, because that is the wrong bracket. There we go, Linus Torquefus. And we'll get a bye run, excuse me. So we've got 2 bye runs. We have 42 drivers showed up. Linus Torquefus and Reese Tatterson will both get a bye runs. But up next, Simon Sandman and Brandon Williams will come to the line there. They're already coming to the line, and we'll work through that left-hand side of the bracket. So take your screenshots now if needed, so you follow along with it as we work our way through. So they are at the line, ready to go. Simon Sandman will lead first. Brandon Williams through the course here.
Yeah, our first taste of how battles are going to go today. This is just to see who gets those final few spots between 29 and 32 in the main show later on this afternoon. Here we go. Simon Sandman in the black S15 in the lead lane, up against Brandon Williams in the chase lane. The lights come on, and the first of the last 16 battles are underway. Down the straight, initiating in. Simon Sandman throws it in. Brandon Williams right there with him through outer zone 1. A little shaky for the chase as they transition over to outer zone 2. Losing some ground was Brandon Williams through outer zone 3 and 4. Now they come into 5, dropping a bit of tire for the lead driver of Simon Sandman. Brandon Williams regained that proximity. Now coming back in the attack through outer zone 7. Gets up on that door. Finishes out the run.
Yeah, a nice way to start out our last 16 qualifying battles. Let's take another look here. Simon Sandman out front, initiating in and filling all of outside zone number 1. Brandon's sticking with him, but we see a little over rotation there, leaving outside zone number 1, and that leads to quite the gap until outside zone number 5, where we see Simon drop a little bit of tire there, not quite filling outside zone number 6 as well. I guess he fills it, but could have been a little bit deeper, and then nicely done for the last and final outside zone. Wow.
Now back around at the start line, ready for the second half of this battle. Simon will now chase. Brandon Williams will now lead them out. The lights go on, and off they go. Initiating in. Brandon Williams looking good. Simon Sandman sticking right there with them as they transition to outer zone 2. I thought Simon Sandman was going to go right into the back bumper of Brandon Williams as they come through outer zone 4, down into 5, putting on the pressure, dropping some tire there from Brandon Williams. He slows right up, and a little bit of contact there from the chase as Simon Sandman just keeps it right in the pocket for almost this whole battle.
Yeah, sure was. Let's take another look on that replay here. Brandon Williams out front, initiating in, filling outside zone number 1, a little bit deep there, leaving it, and there's Simon applying some pressure through that first transition, staying bumper to bumper through the next, heading up the hill into outside zone number 5. We see a little puff of dirt there, but Brandon really didn't upset the car at all. We didn't physically see a tire drop. But Simon staying with him all the way through that course might just be enough. We'll head to our judges for the first time today here in these last 16 qualifying battles. Simon Sandman on the left, Brandon Williams on the right. And there it is, quick decision. Simon Sandman gets the win over Brandon Williams, and he moves one step closer to the top 32.
Yeah, he'll be up against Linus Torquefus in the next set of battles as we wait for Abdulaziz Al Harbi to get to the line, as Daniel Mora's already there and ready to go. Daniel Mora qualifying 32nd, Abdulaziz qualifying 41st. I don't see Abdulaziz even in the server.
Yeah, we're going to give him a chance to join the server. A couple of people having little issues joining the server. Hopefully they can sort that out and get into it. Up that bracket there and show you where we're moving along to. So Alexander Yegard and Christian Petrov should be heading to the line. Christian was in the server and then suddenly it wasn't.
He's back now. He just oh no, he's gone. And now he's back. Now he's gone.
Oi.
Hey.
So Christian has had some difficulties with his connection throughout the years.
All right, cool. Well, here we go. Hopefully Christian's internet can stay stable enough for these two runs. Alexander Yegert in that E92 in the lead lane up against the S15 of Christian Petrov. Down the straight they come, initiating in, looking good for Alexander Yegert, maybe dropping just a little bit of tire through outer zone 1, but Christian Petrov sticking right with him through outer zone 2 and 3. Now they transition down to 4. Little onto the rumble strip was the chase, but he's sticking right with Alexander Yegert through all this. Big bobble in the back there for Christian Petrov as he tries to make the transition into outer zone 7, but keeps it right on the door through all of it for Alexander Yegert.
Yeah, let's take another look here. Alexander out front and initiating in, putting his wheel right along that yellow line. Good transition as well as Christian a little late on it there. Heading into outside zone number 2, we see him go wide as well. Alexander a little bit wide there heading into outside zone number 5 as well, but Phil 6. See a couple little bobbles there from Christian in that chase position, and then burying the bumper along the wall. And that last and final outside zone is Alexander out front.
Well, now back around and ready for the second half of their battle to see who's going to take one of the next spots for the last 16. Christian Petrov now in the lead. Alexander ready to chase him down as lights go on. And here we go for the second half of this battle. Initiating in. Looking good for Christian Petrov, but right on him is Alexander Yegert through outer zone 1. Leaves the room for the transition through outer zone 2 and quickly regains that proximity from the chase. As they come through outer zone 4, a bit of a bobble from the chase, so they can make their way through outer zone 5, now through outer zone 6. Alexander keeping on that pressure and applying it nicely as they come through outer zone 7 and finish out this run.
Yeah, let's take another look at it here. Christian Petrov out front. Alexander Yegert giving chase. Initiating in, filling outside zone 1 nicely as Christian out front, making that transition, establishing a little bit of a gap, but Yegert reeling him in quickly, stays with him up the hill into outside zone number 5. Small little bobble there in that chase position, and then works his way back up to him. Last and final transition, picking up that throttle for the last and final zone, and there they go across that finish line. We go to our judges here. Alexander on the left, Christian Petrov on the right.
While we wait for those judges, you missed it. Christian Petrov's car was all over the place while you were doing your replay, and it gave me a pretty good chuckle.
Oh my goodness. Alexander Yegert does end up getting the win over Christian Petrov, and we may end up taking a small break here with these drivers taking or having issues joining the servers. Let me see. Let's take a quick look at log of the server, because I believe it's for his own car. We might move on here and start connecting others as well. Yeah, Daniel Moore is going to take a bye run here. Watch him go through that. Unfortunately, Robert not being able to make it into the server, having some connection issues. What it possibly could be. As Daniel fills these zones, looks good. Goes for a quick practice run, basically. And he'll move one step closer to the top 32. So those wondering, are after qualifying, our top 28 get locked in to the top 32, and then everyone else below that, so 29 through 44, although we had only 42 drivers show up today, we get put into this last 16 qualifying battles, and the top 4 from this will move on into the top 32. Here we go. Drivers loading in for the second half of our bracket. We'll pull that up if you're just now joining us. Reese will get a bye run, and then Olivier Blias, Victor Elvis will face each other here shortly. Jordan El Nasser and Kazuki Fukushi, Stephen Hatcher and Robert Kosinski. So it was Abdulaziz Al Harvey that was having issues joining, as well as Robert Kosinski. See on the log where Robert's trying to join, but I didn't see anything from Abdulaziz Al Harvey. So we do have our drivers coming to the line here. Olivier Blias will lead Victor Alves.
Indeed, he will. Olivier in the S14 in the lead lane, ready to get down with Victor Alves in that chase position in the S15. As we wait for the lights, and here we go. Next set of last 16 battles underway. Olivier initiates in. Victor right there with them as they come through outer zone 1. Looking good through outer zone 1, transitioning along the bumper. Victor really going for it here. Olivier doing a great job in the lead, though, as they come through outer zone 5, door to door, make the transition happen through outer zone 6, now to outer zone 7. Watch out for the wall as Olivier goes into it just a little bit, and Victor gets right up there onto the door to finish out the run.
Yeah, good way to start the right-hand side of the bracket. Olivier out front, Victor Alves giving chase and heading into turn number 1. Olivier putting his wheel on that yellow line, but nice matching angle from Victor. Until there, a little hiccups, maybe from both through turn number 2, heading up the hill now, filling outside zone number 5. We see Victor back up for that transition. They get right back onto the door, bumper to bumper, and then a little wall tap there from Olivier and across that finish line. Nicely done.
Well, back around at the start, Victor Alves now slots into that lead position. Olivier ready to chase him down. Lights go on and off we go for the second half of this battle. Initiating in, looking good for Victor Alves. Olivier sticking right there with them as they come through outer zone 1, and now even closer through outer zone 2 and 3. They make the transition for 4, a little wide goes Olivier. Maybe some a touch happen there through outer zone 5. It was very close to see if it did happen or not. Now through outer zone 6 into 7. He's trying to get it up into the pocket, but what a gripping battle this one's been.
Yeah, nicely done. Let's take another look at it here. Victor Alves initiating in. Could have been a little bit deeper on outside zone number 1, but nicely done. Either way, bumper to bumper through that first transition. Olivier applying some pressure, but falls back there. But we do see Victor really kind of far on the inside of that turn heading into outside zone number 5. So I think both kind of similar mistakes, just in the opposite direction there as they cross that finish line, and we go to our judges that could maybe go either way here. Olivier on the left, Victor Alves on the right. Well, there we go. We did have a one more time from Chris. Ed and Carl go left for Olivier Blias, and he gets the win over Victor Alves and moves one step closer to the top 32. So next up, Jordan El Nasser and Kazuki Fukushi coming to the line. Jordan qualifying 31st and Kazuki qualifying 42nd.
Well, Jordan El Nasser slots into the lead position after cracking off that 91-point run at the very end of his qualifying. Kazuki Fukushi slots into the chase lane, qualifying 42nd. And both of these drivers hoping to advance on as they come through the gate down the straight, initiating in, looking good for Jordan right along that yellow line. Kazuki chasing him down, following him beautifully, but missing out on outer zone 2 and almost understeering through all of outer zone 3, missing outer zone 4, and now coming through outer zone 5 and 6 through 7. Kazuki really having to play the catch-up game here as Jordan pins it down and finishes out the run.
Yeah, nicely done from Jordan out front. Let's take another look at it here, carrying that 91 on into battles, putting that wheel right along that trek edge for outside zone number 1. Nice and smooth on his transition for 2. Grabs 3 as well. We see the hiccups starting there, back in that chase position from Kazuki, making the transition into 6 now, dialed in as Jordan, last and final transition there into 7. Does slow up quite a bit there before continuing on, and there he goes across that finish line.
Well, back around at the start gate, Kazuki Fukushi now slots into the lead lane. Jordan ready to chase him down. It's anyone's battle, but only one can advance on. The lights go on and off they go. Initiating in for Kazuki, looking good. A little shallow, but starts to fill out the zone near the end. Jordan on playing the chase game here, really having to play catch up to the speed of Kazuki, and hopefully that doesn't upset his run as they come through outer zone 6, both of them going off course through outer zone 6, now through 7, but Kazuki was flying through the first half of that course.
Now let's take a second look here on the replay. Kazuki out front for the big initiation, but lacks on the angle when he first rotates into outside zone number 1. Eventually makes it out to the outside. Fills 2, fills 3 really nice as well, making that big transition up the hill. We see Jordan go wide there in that chase position, try and catch back up. We see Kazuki drop some tire in outside zone number 6 and then continue on crossing that finish line. There goes Jordan in that chase position, and we go to our judges. Tough one to call here in the last 16. Jordan on the left, Kazuki on the right. And there it is. We do have a unanimous one more time. Judges say clean it up and run it again.
Well, the first one more time of the day, and I have a feeling it's not going to be the last. Everyone today has brought in their A game for the finals of the Virtual Drift Championship. This is only our last 16 battles. This is just to determine who takes those last few spots between the 29 and 32 for the main show of today. So, one more time battle between Jordan El Nasser slotting back into that lead position against Kazuki Fukushi in that chase. BMW versus GR Corolla. The lights go on down the straight. And here they go, initiating in. Looking good for Jordan right along that yellow line as they come through outer zone 1. Now transitioning through outer zone 2. Kazuki washing out a little bit and almost going into the back of Jordan El Nasser after outer zone 4. A little bit of tire drop there from Jordan through outer zone 5. They come through 6, now into 7. Jordan gets a little out of shape, but he fixes it up quickly. Kazuki uses that advantage to get on the door and finish out the run.
Yeah, let's take another look here. First half of the one more time battle. Jordan El Nasser initiating in. Nicely done for outside zone number 1. Putting a wheel right along that yellow line. Filling outside zone number 2. Small bobble from that chase position, but right along the bumper through that transition up the hill. We see a small tire drop from Jordan out front, but establishing a gap here heading into outside zone number 7. Along the wall, giving it a little tap. And across that finish line, but Kazuki right there with him.
Well, back around, ready to go for the second half of their one more time battle. See who takes one of the next spots in this last 16. Kazuki Fukushi now leads Jordan El Nasser, ready to chase him down. The lights go on, and here we go. Second half underway. Kazuki initiates in. Jordan right there with them. Kazuki's GR is gripped up for this circuit though, and he's quick, but Jordan bringing the fight as they come through outer zone 3 and 4 and hangs with them all the way through outer zone 5. Looking good for both these guys here as they come out of outer zone 6, now into outer zone 7. Jordan on the attack, gets on the door, finishes out the run side by side.
Yeah, much cleaner from both of these drivers. Let's take another look here. Second half of the one more time. Initiating in is Kazuki getting to the angle I think he wanted there for outside zone number 1 quickly. And then Jordan being aggressive in that chase position, diving onto the door in outside zone number 2 and hangs on into outside zone number 5. Maybe a little bit of contact there through that transition heading into 6. Jordan backing up and then slowly reeling him in for outside zone number 7 and crosses the finish line. Door to door we go to our judges. Again, winner moves one step closer to the top 32. Jordan on the left, Kazuki on the right. And here we go. We have a decision, and it is unanimous. Jordan El Nasser gets the win over Kazuki Fukushi, and again moves one step closer to the top 32.
Well, here we go. Next battle at the line. Steven Hatcher now in the lead lane, being chased down by Robert Kavinsky, who got his issues sorted out just in the nick of time and is now at the line ready to battle it out. Down the straight, initiating in, looking good for Steven as he gets right onto that yellow line through outer zone 1. Really wide goes Robert as they come through outer zone 2 into 3. Not filling all of outer zone 3 for the chase there of Robert as they come through outer zone 5 and come into outer zone 6. Robert really flying into the side of Steven Hatcher, making big contact on the exit of outer zone 6, but they get through outer zone 7 clean and finish out the run.
Yeah, let's take another look here. Steven Hatcher out front, Robert chasing him down. Good initiation from Steven, working along that yellow line. Robert starting that transition really early back there in that chase position for outside zone number 2, but stays with him up the hill heading into outside zone number 5. Steven on a really good lead line here, but drops just a little bit of tire there and Outside zone number 6, nicely done for the last and final zone though, hanging a wing over that wall, and they cross the finish line door to door.
Well, now we're back around ready for the second half of this battle. Robert now leads it out. Steven, ready to chase him down. The lights go on and off they go. Let's see how the second half of this battle shapes up. Is off the initiation. Look at the pressure from Steven through outer zone 1. Right along the door off the initiation through outer zone 1, as they are already through outer zone 4 now. Steven hasn't left the door of Robert as they make the transition into outer zone 6, dropping a tire for the lead of Robert as they come into outer zone 7. And look at Steven still on the attack, almost pushing him through the finish line.
Yeah, let's go back on this replay here. Fast run from Robert as he initiates in, fills outside zone number 1, almost getting pushed through it though with Steven Hatcher in that chase position, not quite filling outside zone number 3, filling 4 though, and a little bit on the inside. We see that left foot brake being used to make it out to outside zone number 5 and catch it and then leave it, heading into outside zone number 6. Steven a little bit on the inside for 7 and works out to the outside, giving the wall a little rub there. Let's go to our judges. Steven Hatcher on the left, Robert on the right. Last battle before heading to the final battles here in the last 16. Again, we just worked through the last 8. Once we have those 4 remaining drivers, they get slotted into the top 32 based on their original seeding from qualifying. And a split decision there. Chris and Ed go left for Steven Hatcher. Carl goes right for Robert Kivsinski. Steven Hatcher gets the win and moves 1 step closer to the top 32. Up our current last 16 qualifying bracket. Here's how it has played out. Linus and Simon Sandman will battle each other here in the last 16 to determine who goes on to the top 32. Daniel Moore and Alexander Yegard, Reese Anderson and Olivier Blias, Jordan El Nasser and Steven Hatcher. We are missing still just 1 driver in the server, that Linus Torfus and Simon Sandman as well. They'll all connect now. So again, take your screenshots now if you'd like to follow along. See a couple people hyped for this upcoming battle here between these two, Linus Torfus and Simon Sandman. They're coming to the line and are ready.
Ready indeed, and oh, this is going to be a battle, and we're not even in the main show yet. Linus in the A80 in the lead lane up against Simon Sandman in that S15 in the chase. The lights go on, and only one gets to move on to the main show today from this battle. Initiates in, A little shallow through outer zone 1. Simon right on the door through outer zone 1. Leaves almost no room for that transition as they come through outer zone 2. Now into outer zone 3. Door to door. Dropping a bit of tire through outer zone 5. Now into 6. And this is a close battle between these two as Simon really gets up on the door through outer zone 7. Almost pushing Linus across that finish line.
Wow. Battle of the speeds. Let's take another look here on the replay. Initiating in, picking up that throttle. Could have been a little bit deeper in outside zone number 1, but Simon is unfazed. Goes for quite the dive there, lacking a little bit of angle, and then ends up a little bit on the outside for that transition for outside zone number 4. We see a little tire dip from Linus out front. Big angle before transitioning into the last and final outside zone. There they go across that finish line.
Well, back around at the start line, Simon Sandman now slots into that lead position. Linus ready to chase him down. The lights go on in the second half of this battle's underway. Who moves on to take one of the 4 spots in the main show? Initiating in. And almost the same initiation in line there for Simon Sandman for the second run as they come through outer zone 2. Now 3, filling all 3, transitioning through 4. And Linus on the attack, getting it right on the door through outer zone 4. But that was weird. I don't want to say it was a straighten, but it definitely looked like a huge bobble from the chase going into outer zone 6 as they come into outer zone 7, get right back on the door and finish out the run side by side.
Yeah, we definitely had a moment there. Let's take another look on the replay here. Great initiation. Again, could be a little bit deeper for outside zone number 1. And then here we see very shallow for 2. Left foot brake used to get to 3. And then a lot of left foot brake. We can visually see the speed slow down heading into outside zone number 5. And then speed back up into outside zone number 6. So it might come down to Simon out front slowing down heading into outside zone number 5. That kind of led to Linus's demise there back in that chase position. It's going to be up to these judges though, as we are not. Just going off what we see there, Linus on the left, Simon on the right. Winner again moves on into the top 32 here. And there it is. Simon Sandman gets the win over Linus Torquefist, and we'll see him in the top 32.
One spot down, 3 remain. As our next pairing comes to the line, Daniel Mora and Alexander Jaeger. Daniel Mora qualifying 32nd, Alexander 33rd. Daniel Mora in the lead lane in that E30. Alexander Jaeger in that E92 in the chase. The lights go on. This battle's quickly underway. Down the straight and initiating in. Looking good off the initiation. Alexander Jaeger right there through outer zone 1 as they make the transition towards outer zone 2, leaving quite a bit of room there as they come through outer zone 3. Now through 4, down towards 5. Maybe a little tap there from the chase. They came into outer zone 5. Through 6, along the bumpers into 7. Wheel to wheel. Door to door as they come through 7 and cross that line.
Let's take another look here. Good start to the battle. Daniel Mora out front. Alexander Jaeger giving chase, initiating in nice and smooth from Daniel Mora, putting his wheel right along that yellow track edge and flying through outside zone number 2. But Alexander Jaeger, unfazed, reels him in quickly, stays with him through outside zone number 5, backs up for that transition, maybe a little bit of contact there, and then last and final one, bumper to bumper and bumper along the wall as Daniel Mora out front, and there they go across that finish line. Good start to the battle.
Very good start indeed as they're back around at the start line. Alexander Jaeger now in the lead. Daniel Mora ready to chase him down to take one of the 3 remaining spots. As the lights turn on, and here we go with the second half. Initiating in. Alexander Jaeger out front. Daniel Mora right there on the door as they come through outer zone 1. transitioning towards outer zone 2. A little late, though, for the transition into outer zone 2 for Daniel Mora in that chase. They come through outer zone 4, now 5, as they get ready for outer zone 6. Looking good for our lead of Alexander Yegard out front as they come into outer zone 7. Now the attack can happen. Get on the throttle as Alexander Yegard finds the wall just before the finish line.
Yeah, you certainly did. Let's take another look here. Initiating in, but putting that wheel along that track edge, maybe dipping a little bit over it before leaving that first outside zone. Nicely done for 2 and 3. Heading up the hill 4 and a ton of angle heading into outside zone number 5. Nice and smooth transition into 6. Keeps it on track. Daniel Moore right there along that bumper, and then nicely done for outside zone number 7 until right there we get a little tap, but he keeps it going, stays on the same angle. Let's go to those judges. Daniel Moore on the left, Alexander Yegard on the right. The winner finds themselves in the top 32 for our last and final main event of season number 9. Wonderfully created track. I thought I made a little bit of a difficult layout, but these drivers said, you know what? No, you didn't.
They do that to us every round. This season has been unreal with the level of driving that these guys have brought.
Yeah, it's always been floated around with the idea of giving them less and less practice before each and every round. And we did do that for our exhibition event. We gave drivers just 1 hour of practice before sending them off. But before I finish, we have a decision. We have a one more time from Chris. Ed and Carl go left for Daniel Mora, and Daniel Mora gets the win over a tough battle against Alexander Yegard.
Well, Daniel Mora getting the second spot. 2 spots remain now, and only 4 drivers.
Next up, Reese Tatterson and Olivier Blias. Reese qualifying 30th and Olivier qualifying 35th.
Reese got a bye run on his last 16 battle, but Olivier beat out Victor Alves to make it to where he is now. So, who takes one of the 2 spots remaining? Will it be Reese? Will it be Olivier? Reese in that Team Heinz RTR Mustang. Olivier in the S14. The lights go on and off they go to start this last 16 battle. Initiating in, look at Olivier already on the attack off the initiation, initiating along the bumper of Reese Tatterson, as Reese Tatterson doesn't fill all of outer zone 2, but makes up for it on 3. Super wide goes Olivier through outer zone 4, but they can both come through 5 nicely, as on the attack is Olivier. Reese doing a great job out front, but Olivier hasn't left his door as he gets into the wall just before the finish line.
Yeah, and a bit of a wreck there at the end after that contact as well. I think Olivier might have pushed him into it. We'll take a closer look here on this replay. Could have been a little bit deeper in outside zone number 1 from Reese. Good transition. Again, could have been a little bit deeper for 2, but Phil's 3 works his way up the hill, and Phil's 5 as well. Big transition for 6. It could be a little bit deeper on these zones. We see Olivier go off and working their way through here. Yeah, a little bit of contact there, I think, from Olivier in that chase position before heading on into the wall.
Well, back around at the front. We're ready for the second half of this battle. Olivier now leads it out. Reese Tatterson ready to chase him down. 2 spots remain. Who will it be? Down the straight, initiating in, looking good off the initiation. Olivier keeping it right along that yellow line as they come through outer zone 2. Now 3. Reese trying to get on the attack, but just can't quite get into the proximity. Is real wide goes Olivier, almost going off course, drops 2 tires. And at this level of driving, that could be all she wrote, as he also gets to the wall just before the end of the course.
Yeah, unfortunately, kind of throwing it away there. Let's take another look. Olivier out front. Reese Tennyson giving chase, initiating in and putting a wheel maybe over the yellow line. Really close, hard to tell. Reese a little off on his transition, but then quickly reels him in that Mustang. There they go, heading up the hill and off the course. Really close to 3 tires off, but I think maybe just 2. Last and final transition, picks up that throttle, gives the wall just a little bit of a tap, and there they go across that finish line. We'll go to our judges. Winner moves on into the top 32. Reese on the left, Olivier on the right. And there it goes, unanimous decision. Reese Tatterson moves on to the top 32. Our last and final battle coming up. They're ready at the line.
They sure are. One spot remains, one battle remains here in the final last 16 of the season. Jordan El Nasser in that lead position up against veteran Steven Hatcher in the chase lane. The lights go on and we are quickly underway, initiating in for Jordan, looking good. Steven tried that flick entry in the back, but it didn't really keep him as close as he wanted to, as a quick tire drop there from Jordan in the lead coming through outer zone 3. They make it through 4 and 5. Steven keeping it right there in that proximity. Maybe a bit of net code there. That was weird. It looks like he got hit and kind of moved the car in the front. That was a little weird to see there coming through outer zone 6.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what in the world happened there. Let's take another look. Jordan initiating in. Nicely done for turn number 1, leaving Steven a little bit behind, but Steven's right there on his bumper for the first transition. Small little tire drop from Jordan, and outside zone number 3. Nicely done for 5. And here's a big transition. It is quite the over rotation, so maybe the front finally caught up to the rear there, and then some contact in the wall. A little messy there at the later half of the course.
So let's see what happens in the second half of the battle. Steven Hatcher now leading things out. Jordan El Nasser ready to chase him down. 1 advances, and that finishes our last 16 battles. The lights go on, off they go. Down the straight. Flick initiation for Steven, but right with them is Jordan El Nasser as he gets right up onto the door, but it struggles to get it transitioned for outer zone 2. Steven keeping that car exactly where it needs to be, but now Jordan's back on the attack, keeping in that proximity as they come through the final outer zone. Jordan dives to that door once more in that chase position, and they finish out the run.
Yeah, really scrappy battle between these two. Let's take another look. This time Steven out front, initiating in. Nicely done on outside zone number 1. Jordan maybe making a little contact before that transition, has to back up quite a bit there, but does a good job to reel him back in, maybe dropping a tire back there in that chase position. Steven getting away just a little bit more there, and then a big dive from Jordan in that last and final outside zone. There they go across that finish line, and we go to our judges, maybe for the last time here in the last 16. And there it is. Steven Hatcher gets the win over Jordan El Nasser. Steven makes his way into the top 32. Let's take a look at that bracket. So Simon Sandman qualifying 36 will find himself in the top 32. Reese Tatterson qualifying 30th. Daniel Mora qualifying 32nd, and Steven Hatcher qualifying 34th. So what will happen is Reese will get slotted into that 29th position. Daniel Mora will get the 30th position. Steven Hatcher will get 31st, and Simon Sandman will get 32nd in our top 32 main event bracket. Again, we'll take about an hour break or so before coming back with our top 32 main event for the final round. Tanner, what do you think?
I think we're in for an absolute treat for the main event. I think it's one you don't want to miss, as these guys are going absolutely crazy today, and I think it's anyone's game. It is anyone's win, and there's a championship on the line, and it's going to be a wild afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after that qualifying, just 90s across the board, and then we've got two 99s that might see each other in the finals, first and second. Alan Hines still leading the championship, but Zach O'Sullivan right behind him and has a chance to take home the championship as well. But wouldn't it be cool to see him in finals to really battle it out and take home some bragging rights? So again, we'll shut this stream down and we'll come back later in about an hour for our top 32 main event. Thank you everyone for tuning in to qualifying today, and we'll see you all shortly.
Not a little.